I think that this particular guitar has the best sound of any guitar I've ever played. Just
Willie Nelson is a remarkable man who has lived through many challenges. At 91, he has faced financial troubles, personal betrayals, drug arrests, and being blocked in the music industry. Despite this, he has become one of the greatest country artists ever. His life has been a mix of success and controversy, including scandals, affairs, and conflicts with Nashville's top artists. As he looks back at the important people in his life, Kris Kristofferson stands out. For years, there have been rumors about their complicated relationship. Were they rivals or brothers? Was there jealousy or competition between them? Why did they sometimes grow apart despite being part of the same outlaw movement? Join us as we explore the truth. First, let's see how Willie and Kris changed country music forever. How Willie and Kris changed country music forever. By the late 1960s, Nashville dominated country music. The industry functioned like a well-oiled machine, dictating the sound of songs and how artists dressed, spoke, and acted. There was a strict formula. Artists had to look clean-cut, use traditional instruments, and sing about heartbreak, drinking, and small-town values. The Grand Ole Opry and radio executives decided who became a star, and anyone who didn't fit the mold was quickly sidelined. Willie Nelson and Kris Kristofferson rejected this approach. Willie had a long and arduous journey. He arrived in Nashville in the late 1950s to become a performer, but wrote songs behind the scenes. He wrote big hits like Crazy for Patsy Cline and Hello Walls for Farron Young, but his music went unnoticed. Nashville executives didn't know how to market him. He was not polished like Hank Snow, nor did he fit the image of the heartthrob they wanted. His voice was rough, his style unique, and his music ideas too progressive for the industry. Kris Kristofferson had a different background. He was a war hero and a Rhodes Scholar who could have pursued a high-ranking military or academic career. Instead, he cleaned floors at Columbia Studios to be near the music world. His songs were complex and often dealt with regret, war, and struggle. He was the opposite of what Nashville expected a country artist to be. While most artists sang about cheating and drinking, Kristofferson focused on human suffering and self-reflection. Both men were seen as too unconventional for the Nashville system. Kris got his big break in 1970 when he famously stole a National Guard helicopter and landed it on Johnny Cash's lawn to give him a demo of Sunday Morning Coming Down. The song struck a chord with Cash, who performed it live. This performance resonated with many hard-living Americans, making Kris an overnight star. The industry that once ignored him now scrambled to benefit from his success. Meanwhile, Willie continued to struggle. His label, RCA, forced him to conform to Nashville's image, dressing him in suits and slicking back his hair to appeal to conservative fans. They paired him with orchestral sounds that drowned out his authentic style. He faced flops and considered quitting music despite being a talented songwriter. A turning point came when Kris, now successful, recognized Willie's potential. He encouraged Willie to leave Nashville for Texas, where a new music movement was emerging. In Texas, country music began to take on a rougher, more authentic form. Musicians in Austin and Luckenbach broke free from Nashville's constraints, playing in bars filled with long-haired cowboys, bikers, and hippies who wanted something real. Willie took a chance and moved to Austin, where he found an audience that appreciated him for who he was, rough, poetic, and independent. He grew his hair and beard, ditched the suits, and played to crowds who didn't care about radio hits. Texas offered him the creative freedom that Nashville had denied him for over a decade. In Austin, Willie transformed from a struggling songwriter to a leader of a movement that would reshape country music. Willie and Kris were no longer just misfits trying to make it. They became pioneers of a new genre. This movement rejected the polished sound of Nashville and embraced the raw spirit of real life. By the 1970s, the outlaw movement had begun, with Willie and Kris at its center. The secret rivalry. Was Willie jealous of Kris? For years, people whispered about Willie Nelson's relationship with Kris Kristofferson, hinting at competition. The world, especially country music, often saw artists fighting for attention, radio play, and loyal fans. However, the tension between Willie and Kris was not about jealousy or bad feelings. It came from timing and a sense of being overlooked. Kristofferson was the shining star, an artist who seemed to succeed easily. He was a poet and a thinker who moved freely between music, literature, and film. Critics and industry leaders admired him because he had both respect and popularity. Nashville didn't always like his raw and unique songwriting, but they recognized his talent in ways they didn't with Willie during those early years. Willie was still trying to earn respect. Even after writing some of the country's biggest hits, the industry often saw him as a songwriter rather than a star. Record labels tried to change him into a more polished, radio-friendly artist. His albums didn't make much of an impact, and it felt like he was pushed back 2 steps for every step forward. Meanwhile, Kristofferson was thriving, winning Grammys and performing on TV. By the mid-1970s, he even starred in the blockbuster film A Star is Born with Barbra Streisand. He proved that a country artist could excel on stage and in movies. Watching this success, Willie must have wondered when his moment would come. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Kris had everything Willie desired: credibility, awards, and a career expanding beyond country music. Nashville still viewed Willie as just a songwriter, someone meant to write for others. That changed in 1973 when Willie took charge of his career. He left Nashville and embraced his Texas roots, allowing himself to be true to who he was. He grew out his iconic long hair and beard, stopped wearing suits, and released Shotgun Willie, an album that changed his sound and image. With this album, Willie stopped trying to meet Nashville's standards. He created his path. This album announced that Willie Nelson had arrived, on his terms. From then on, he was more than an industry veteran or a hired songwriter. He became a powerful force in country music. Then things shifted. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Willie had become the biggest name in country music. He sold out stadiums, released hit albums, and led a movement. He had surpassed the industry that once overlooked him. Some believe Kris felt jealous, especially as Hollywood and mainstream audiences began to focus on Willie. The same industry that once celebrated Kris was now embracing Willie. As their careers changed, so did their personal lives. Kris faced his most formidable challenges, while Willie reached the height of country music stardom. Willie's biggest scandals: tax fraud, drug busts, and cheating. Kris Kristofferson struggled with alcohol addiction and the pressures of Hollywood. Willie Nelson, on the other hand, faced issues mainly related to money, legal troubles, and a complicated personal life. Kristofferson's drinking affected his career and relationships. While it didn't completely end his career, it made things more complex for him over time. Willie's problems often came from the people he trusted. Unlike Kristofferson, who battled his issues, Willie relied on financial managers who made bad investment choices. This led to a significant tax scandal in the music industry. Willie's relaxed and rebellious attitude also got him into trouble with taxes and drug laws. While fans loved his carefree approach, the government did not. His arrests and financial troubles made news along with his music for years. Willie's romantic life was also quite wild. He married multiple times, had several affairs, and fathered children outside of marriage, often keeping these secrets until they became public. Despite all these challenges, Willie always found ways to turn his problems into inspiration, whether through music, humor, or just facing whatever came his way. In 1990, the IRS took nearly everything Willie Nelson owned, claiming he owed $16.7 million in unpaid taxes due to bad advice from his accountant. His financial management firm had invested his earnings in an illegal tax shelter, leading to heavy penalties. Instead of declaring bankruptcy, Willie made an album called The IRS Tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories, with all profits going to the IRS. Released in 1992 through a late-night infomercial, it got a lot of support from fans. Willie's personal life was full of ups and downs. Known for his free-spirited way of living, he struggled with being faithful, cheating on multiple wives, and fathering children outside marriage. A shocking moment came when his second wife, Shirley Colley, found a hospital bill for the birth of Willie's child with another woman, which led to their divorce. Willie's love for marijuana also shaped his public image, resulting in several arrests over the years. Instead of hiding, he embraced it. Despite his challenges, Willie's friendship with Kris Kristofferson greatly influenced his music, and together they left a lasting mark on country music for future generations.